Thanks for choosing us. This afternoon, the minority in Parliament has described the 2026 budget as, quote, growthless, jobless and minimalist, unquote, saying it falls short of addressing Ghana's urgent economic challenges. It also accuses the IMF of reneging on its oversight responsibility, allowing the government to deviate from key agreements. Presenting the budget to Parliament yesterday, the Finance Minister, Dr. Kasiela Tuforsin, outlined a comprehensive plan to drive economic growth, improve infrastructure and enhance the lives of citizens. The budget totaled 357 billion Ghana cedis, prioritizing strategic investments in key sectors, including infrastructure, education, healthcare, agriculture, energy, and social protection. The finance minister told Parliament that a new tax reform will abolish COVID-19 levy, mineral exploration tax, and also realign a number of existing taxes. This is what he said on the exact reforms of the value-added tax.
Reforms will do the following. We will abolish the COVID-19 health recovery levy. Mr. Speaker, we will abolish the decoupling of Get Fund and National Health Insurance levies from the VAT tax base. Mr. Speaker, we will abolish VAT on recognizance and prospecting of minerals. Mr. Speaker, we will reduce the effective VAT rate from 21.9% to 20%. Mr. Speaker, will raise the VAT registration threshold from 200,000 to 750,000 cedis. Mr. Speaker, we will extend VAT zero rating on the supply of local manufacturing textiles to 2028.
Minorities' response. Here are some of the key budget allocations for the 2026 fiscal year.
Speaker, to unlock round-the-clock productivity, export and decent jobs under the 24-hour economy, we are provided an allocation of 110 million Ghana cedis in 2026 for the implementation of the 24-hour economy program. Mr. Speaker, we will be leveraging with to the 24-hour economy program will be leveraging with GIF and DBG and provide private capital to keep financing largely of the sovereign balance sheet. Mr. Speaker, we have allocated an amount of 2.2 billion Ghana cedis to the Ministry of Food and Agriculture. Right, Honorable Speaker, of this amount, we have allocated 245 million Ghana cedis for the Nkokon Ketinketi and Livestock Program. We have also allocated an amount of 15.2 billion Ghana cedis for the energy sector shortfalls. Mr. Speaker, we have allocated an amount of 4.8 billion Ghana cedis to pay down some of the IPP legacy debt as we have negotiated. Mr. Speaker, we have also allocated an amount of 4.3 billion Ghana cedis to the Ministry of Roads and Highways for road construction. In addition to this, Mr. Speaker, we have allocated 3 billion Ghana cedis to the Road Maintenance Trust Fund to construct 10 kilometers each in 166 constituencies in 2026 to keep roads more travel in our constituencies. Right, Honorable Speaker, to strategically open the country, linking nations, national and regional capitals, we allocated 30 billion Ghana cedis in 2026 for the Big Push program. Mr. Speaker, we have also allocated 33.3 billion Ghana cedis to the Ministry of Education for its program and activities in 2026.
While the Minority Caucus in Parliament held a news conference a while ago to share their thoughts on the 2026 budget statement and economic policy presented by the Finance Minister, Dr. Kasiela Tuforsin. At the news conference, the minority led by the former Finance Minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, argued that the 2026 budget doesn't offer the economic transformation Ghanaians were promised, instead presenting economic stagnation masquerading as progress. The Minority Caucus also teared into the IMF, accusing the institution of going to sleep on its job and allowing the government to deviate from several agreements. Let's listen to the minority. We'll be right back.
When the IMF will sleep and allow the government to deviate from the formula which the IMF agreed with us for determining the primary balance. We shouldn't say it. when the Bank of Ghana is financing gold board, which is monetary financing. The IMF made us to sign a memorandum of understanding with the Bank of Ghana that the Bank of Ghana will not finance government anymore. Yet, the Bank of Ghana is financing gold board. The minister has failed to release the $279 million he allocated to gold board in the 2025 budget. And the Bank of Ghana is financing the gold board. This is financing of the government by the Bank of Ghana. And when something like this is happening and the IMF is sleeping over its job, we shouldn't say it. So we will continue to highlight the missteps by this government to the effect that they are trying to undo the good work we did. And we will fight to protect our legacy.
Mohammed Amin Adam also claimed that the government has failed to achieve several of its revenue targets for 2025, insisting the government's claim of fiscal discipline is because it is unable to raise revenue.
Goods and services. The government programmed to spend 5.1 billion Ghana cedis from quarter 1 to quarter 3, but ended up spending only 3.8 billion Ghana cedis. This compares to the annual allocation of 6.7 billion Ghana cedis. The amount released for goods and services is about 56% of the total allocation for the year, yet the year has come to an end already. CAPEX. The program CAPEX for quarter 1 to quarter 3 was 26.6 billion Ghana cedis, but actual release was just 11 billion Ghana cedis. This is 34% of the total CAPEX of 32.6 billion Ghana cedis allocated for the year 2025. So when we say the minister has not been spending, we are right. The minister failed to achieve its revenue requirements. I've indicated that. They came to Parliament and they were too boastful of their revenue measures. But the reality is that they have failed. I gave you the numbers, 7.7 billion shortfall, Ghana cedis shortfall in total revenue and grants, 6.8 billion Ghana cedis shortfall in domestic revenue, 9 billion Ghana cedis shortfall in tax revenue. They couldn't achieve their revenue target. And now they come and say prudence. They were cutting down the controlling spending. How do you then spend when you cannot achieve your revenue?
While the minority also claimed that investors have delivered a poor verdict on the NDC's management of the economy. Here's why.
The minister, members of the press, also conveniently fails to mention the disastrous auction performance throughout 2025. Market participants have delivered a devastating verdict on the administration's economic management through their systematic avoidance of government securities. Out of 45 auctions conducted this year, an unprecedented 25 have failed outright, a failure rate exceeding 55%. That reveals not just market skepticism, but active rejection of government paper. Investors are voting with their feet and their capital, demonstrating a clear preference for short-term instruments over any long-term commitments to a government they no longer trust, just 10 months since they assumed office. This pattern of auction failures has created a vicious cycle. Each failed auction forces the government to rely more heavily on expensive short-term borrowing, which in turn increases rollover risk and further undermines investor confidence. The cumulative shortfalls of 17.5 billion Ghana cedis represent not just a financing gap, but a vote of no confidence in the government's ability to manage the economy sustainably. The stock market's reaction during this budget presentation week provides additional damning evidence of this confidence crisis. This week,
well, let's explore this further. Join me now as Member of Parliament for Ifia, Isaac Bwamayako. Is also a member of the Finance Committee in the 8th Parliament. Yes, he was a member of the Finance Committee in the 8th Parliament. We appreciate your time here on The Pulse. Now, you've just been criticizing this administration, claiming that the budget presented by the finance minister yesterday is, quote, jobless. But we heard the finance minister say that the measures they're putting in place is going to see to the employment of some 800,000 individuals. What's the basis of your claim then?
Thank you very much, and a very good afternoon to our cherished listeners and viewers. Let me just correct that I'm a member of the Finance Committee of the 9th Parliament, and not the 8th Parliament. I wasn't in the 8th Parliament.
Okay, we appreciate the correction.
Yeah, so basically, I think it's important for us as a minority to also give a perspective of how Ghanaians feel about the budget that was read by the Minister for Finance. Normally, one thing I've realized is that when the ministers of finance come to the chamber to read the budget, they only pick and choose what they think is good to their ears. And so they fail to tell Ghanaians exactly what are the pitfalls, what are the challenges that they face in the management of the economy. And that is what we sought to do as a minority, to bring the other side where the Minister of Finance failed to tell Ghanaians how well he's going to do the job creation, the stability, and also the transformation that he seeks to do. Now, he's talking about putting in measures to create 800,000 jobs through the big push. The first question I would like to ask you and him is that in this year 2025, we've gone through 3 quarters of the year. How many jobs has the Minister of Finance and the government created for Ghanaians? So before he could tell us that he would be creating 800,000, he should have told us that he's created 100,000 jobs or 200,000 jobs. He has created nothing in the year 2025. If you look at the big push that he's talking about, government said it was going to release almost about 13 billion for the big push. The Minister of Finance has not released that money. Ministries, departments, and agencies are suffering from lack of liquidity and cash to run their system. And so when we are skeptical about the minister's boast and his call for increasing or creating jobs, we find it very fanciful, because in reality, in the year 2025, he has not been able to create the jobs.
So your argument is not about the jobs they hope to create, but the jobs they have created. That's your concern?
Exactly, because we cannot just rely on what you intend to achieve. We should look at what you have done for us now. So the year 2025, what were the projections for job creation? And they were supposed to be anchored on the Jumera. It was supposed to be anchored on the big push. And we are saying that the Jumera has been, it was launched, the big push had been launched, the Mkokwan Ketengete was only launched last week. And so when you put all these 3 projects that is sought to do and deliver in the year 2025, they have not created any jobs.
But we heard from the finance minister yesterday, just to put some figures to the conversation so that we can delve into it deeper. When it comes to the Nkukon Kiti initiative, they have allocated some 245 million Ghana cedis for the program. And then also, they have put in a lot of initiatives when it comes to the recapitalization of the Women's Development Bank. Government says they are putting in some 401 million Ghana cedis into that initiative. This, they are hoping, will help improve the business atmosphere in the country and also help individuals access finances. You think this is not enough?
That is a deception we are bringing to the fore. In the 2025 budget, it said it was going to allocate 50 million to women's banking, and nothing was released. And he's telling us that in 2026, he's going to give 401 million. So if you promise 50 and you couldn't deliver, how am I assured and reliable, and how am I going to rely on the 400 million you are talking about? And then when you go into the coders, it said it was going to give the coders 50 million investment, 50 million to support the coders. Now you didn't give even a dime to the coders, and you are telling us that in the year 2026, you are going to give 100 million Ghana cedi to the coders. So all that we are seeing is promise and fail. So the government promises one thing this year, they are unable to do it, and then they rally it to the next year. And so we only see a rollover of all the disappointments, rollover of all the things that they failed to do, and all the things that they promised the good people of Ghana. They've not been able to deliver. And now we are being told that it's going to be done in the year 2026. And we are saying that it is for nothing that government is unable to do that, because there's shortfall of revenue. Government has not been able to meet its revenue target. Government is stifling expenditure on productive sectors. If you check the growth that is being indicated by the minister, it's driven by ICT. It is driven by the service sector. The manufacturing sector has collapsed. The construction sector is not growing. And so the productive sectors of the economy that is supposed to transform and create the jobs, they are all being stifled by government inability
Mr. Boma,
to
if you
pay.
allow me come in at this point, when the minister started his speech yesterday, and I want to quote him verbatim so that I put some context to the conversation, he said that real GDP has grown by 6.3% in the first half of 2025, up from 5.1% same period in 2024. And this, he says, is driven by stronger agriculture and service. He also touted the fact that inflation has gone down. The removal of key taxes also we saw during the budget presentation, COVID-19 levy, which we have been pushing for the previous administration to scrap. This administration delivered on that promise, but yet you're not satisfied?
So let's start from the 6.3 GDP growth. You see, that's why I'm saying that the minister was only playing smart with the good people of this country. He
Why
said
so?
it was driven, of course, because he's saying that it was driven by the ICT or the service sector and the agri sector. That's what you just read. And I'm saying that element of the service sector is the dominant reason for the growth. Agri only grew by a percentage. Agriculture grew by only a percentage. But the service sector is what has driven the growth. It's dominated by the service sector. And I'm saying, why didn't he tell us the growth in the manufacturing sector? Because manufacturing declined. Why didn't he talk about the growth in the construction sector? Because it declined. So the productive areas that is supposed to create the jobs have all declined. And that is where the problem is coming from. And so if government wants to do anything to create the jobs that they are talking about, the big push, is saying that the big push they're expecting to create about 800,000 jobs. You ask yourself, what is the year span for the big push? So if you are using construction, for example, and you want to create 800,000 jobs, you know that these jobs are not sustainable jobs. They are not permanent jobs that's going to empower the youth. If you listen to the budget, did you hear anything about skills and capacity training for the youth? How much was allocated to TVET? So it's misplaced priority. The government is not focusing. Look at the people that went to die at 37 at Burma camp or the LWAC. They were all looking for jobs. They are looking for non-existent jobs, and that should tell us as a people that we are not investing in the areas that are required for this country to create the needed jobs for the youth of this country. And it is important that the minister should come clear all the things that he promised. Let's go to the taxes. He promised to take the COVID levy. It didn't for the year 2025. He's promising us it will be done in the year 2026. Is that not it? He said they are going to rationalize the VAT, and then VAT would come down from 21% or something to 20%. These are all things that they have made promises onto the last year budget. And this year, when they came in, they promised they were going to take the COVID levy. They couldn't. Now they have pushed it to next year. We want the good people of Ghana to be relieved of all the pressures that Ghanaians have gone through. We want the government to create real jobs, not fanciful jobs. We want the government to tell us where are they placing their investments, for which ordinary Ghanaians and the youth will be able to see that these are the areas government is concentrating on. These are the areas that they are creating the jobs for the youth of this country so that the Ghanaians can benefit.
But the minority seems to paint a bleak picture about the economy. But then as a consumer, I'm pleased that the price of the cedi in the market is very good. I can import whatever I want to. I can take trips and it's more affordable. We heard Bamia tell us that if the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. Clearly, it appears that this administration is fixing the fundamentals. You disagree?
You know, we all can attest to the fact that there's macroeconomic stability. We all can attest that the dollar CD rate has fallen from 14 in January to now about 11. And you see, that is where the challenge is. Where you create artificial fall or stability of the CD, with just a matter of time, you'll be exposed. IMF has warned us. So far, government have injected over $4 billion into the economy. Why were they able to do that? Because some government in the year 2024 created the enabling environment. We were able to make sure that we prepare some buffers for the country.
So you're taking credit for the performance of the city?
No, what I'm saying is that because we were able to create buffer, we were able to create reserves, it made it easier for government to now use the return from the gold sale to cushion the system. And we are saying from the minority, yes, it is good that we've been able to bring down the CD, but the mechanisms we are using to maintain or bring down the CD is not sustainable, because we are living in a world where gold market prices and fuel or petroleum prices or crude prices are not stable. In any moment where gold prices fall, in any time that fuel prices fall, where are we going to get the dollars to pump into the system? So prudent economics will tell the government that you don't throw all your dollars, all your forex into the system. It is good, it has come down, but we are saying that, yes, let's manage it. The good people of Ghana can see relief in the exchange rate, but we all live to see it is not painting a gloomy picture. We are only drawing government attention to the fact that the way and manner in which they are managing even the forex, it's only a matter of time. If we are not careful, if we don't build strong reserves, if we don't prepare for the unexpected in the near future, we will come back to this conversation and you tell the minority we told them so.
Let's look at the energy sector. We just heard from the finance minister tell us that ECG revenue has risen by almost 90%, from 900 million to 1.7 billion per month. And they also say that they have restored fiscal discipline. Let's look at the performance of ECG under this administration. You must be at least pleased with that.
Yes, let me commend the current management of ECG, led by their managing director, for the transformation that they brought into ECG. We can all attest to the fact that ECG has seen significant good management practices. Their revenue have gone up. They've cut down on their procurement, and the cost of procurement have been reduced, and so on and so forth. And just not on your platform, at the finance committee level, at the energy committee level, we have applauded management. But that is only one of the things that they have done. And I say, and I told them in some of our meetings, that the potential of ECG is even bigger than what we are seeing. So management have done well. They've been able to close in some of the leakages and the loopholes. They've been able to increase the revenue that ECG is collecting. It hit an all-time high of about 1.2 billion or 1.5 billion in revenue collection for one of the months in June or so, 2025. So it tells you that ECG has the potential of collecting enough revenue to be able to pay the distributors and the power producers, for example. And so let me commend the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Energy, actually, Honorable John Jinapor, for the leadership he has brought into ECG. And I will for any day say that ECG have done their bit, they've done well. And we should replicate some of these strong management practices that ECG has shown into other areas that we have not seen that significant top management and breakthroughs.
And just before I let you go, let's look at agriculture as well. We heard from the finance minister tell us that government is going to be purchasing some of this rice, maize, chicken, what have not, that farmers have been complaining rotting away in their farms as well as their warehouses, because the food glut is just taking a hold of their businesses. Government allocated some monies for that and also directed schools to buy from them. You agree that that at least is a good initiative?
You see, it's easier said than done. It's a good initiative. We always say buy made in Ghana produce. Let's buy our rice from here. Let's buy our chicken from here. Let us buy our eggs from here. But we end up not doing so. And so I always say, who is tracking, and that's what we're going to do in 2026. We're going to track on a quarterly basis all the things that governments have said in the budget. The first year, 2025, we gave it to them to settle down. Now the honeymoon is over. We're going to hold government strictly accountable for the promises it has made to the good people of this country. So it's a good initiative to give the direction. It's a good policy decision, but we have not seen it being implemented. If you are telling us for 2026, what have you done in 2025? Are they still not buying for the schools? Why haven't you given that instruction earlier in the year for them to buy from the market? Is it that the market doesn't have the quantity to supply? No, we have ready market. The market is available. And so government has to ensure that when they come up with these policy decisions, they enforce it. Because it is one thing when they say it as a policy statement, and it is a different thing when it comes to implementing and making sure that people buy made in Ghana products. The market is equipped to be able to deliver the quantities for the people, and at the end of the day, the good people of Ghana become beneficiaries of the finances of this country.
Thank you so much, Isaac Boamayako. He's Member of Parliament for Ifia constituency. You're still watching The Pulse. We'll be back with more here. Please stay with us.